and welcome to Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I'm Laura Cotter.
And I'm Skye Orchard.
And we have some new places to say hello to.
Hello.
Hello, Virginia. Virginia is in our top 3 states this past month. Not sure why, but welcome, Virginia. Love you.
On the podium, Virginia. On the podium.
Singapore is one of our highest countries in this past month.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, hey, Singapore. Hey, Virginia. Vastly different places. We officially have downloads from all 50 states, including one single download from Alaska, which I am choosing to believe that one of our Canadian listeners happened to be over the border in Alaska listening to us. And it wasn't one person from Alaska listened to us and was like, this is garbage. And never listened again. We are missing Puerto Rico. So that is our next goal. I don't know. We got to insert some more Spanish into our podcast.
Oh, dear.
And we're missing 3 Canadian provinces, but they're all the really north ones where humans are outnumbered by polar bears kind of thing.
Are polar bears in Canada?
Yeah, polar bears are in the north. They live in the Arctic. That's where the Arctic is.
I think moose when I think Canada.
I'm thinking like the super far north.
Oh, yeah. 2/3 of the world's polar bear population is Canada.
We have a lot of polar bears up there. And some puffins. No penguins. No native penguins.
Boo.
I was listening to an audiobook about the Endurance, which is a 1915 voyage in an attempt to do a transcontinental trek across Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really paying attention in the first couple chapters of the book. And I could have sworn they were trying to cross the Arctic. And then they started talking about penguins. And I got really confused for a good 2 chapters before they finally said the words Antarctic again. And I was like, oh, okay, I know where we are.
Do you know where we are?
Somehow, not a single person died on the half of the voyage I listened to. The other half of the voyage had some death, but that was not part of my story.
Didn't you complete the story?
Well, because it was just told about that half of the expedition. So there are 2 halves. And basically, every chapter of this book was me going, men are so stupid. Men are so arrogant. Men, the hubris of men, the decisions they made were all awful. So they had this plan that the main party was going to start on because I think they were trying to go west to east. They were starting on the west side of the continent. And the other party was going to be on the east side. And that party was supposed to drop caches of food for them on their half of the continent, because by the time the first party made it over there, they would have run out of food. Well, the first party ends up losing their ship pretty early on because it gets crushed in the ice. They don't even really make it to mainland Antarctica. They're stuck on the outskirts of it. Somehow they make it back to civilization over the course of a year and a half. Meanwhile, the guys on the other end of the continent have no idea what's happened. They think the party's still going. They think the expedition's still on. And so they're so worried about laying the caches down that they're taking risky trips onto the continent to lay down food so that these people don't starve. Meanwhile, these people are so given up and are not anywhere near needing this food. And on the other side, there's ends up a couple of people who die from frostbite, exhaustion, that sort of stuff, because they've been pushing themselves so hard. They also had an issue with their ship, but it didn't get crushed.
The more you know.
It was interesting. It was a lot of romanticization of a man who I don't think should be romanticized. He wasn't a horrible person. By all accounts, people thought he was fun. And he was a good time, and he was an explorer, but boy, was that man not a planner. When you go to the Antarctic in 1915, you kind of need somebody who's a planner.
Yeah. I think the moral of this entire story is our Canadian friends, if you know any polar bears who would like to listen to our podcast to get those numbers up.
I forgot how we even got started on this. Thank you for bringing me back, Skye.
Send those polar bears our way.
Our question of the week. Excluding cats, what animal would you want to be able to communicate with?
Easy. The trash panda of my soul. The raccoon.
Oh, okay. What would you ask the raccoon?
I don't know. I just want to talk to them.
Just hang out?
Yeah.
My animal would be an octopus.
Oh.
Could have some intelligent conversations. And I don't want to go down to the bottom of the ocean, but I want to know what happens down there. And the octopus can tell me.
Majority of your conversation with an octopus would just be them being sassy because they're so much smarter than us.
I'd be okay with that. I like a sassy friend. All right, should we get into our episode? It is here. One of your sticky notes finally answered.
Mr. Kraft, wife, has one.
had one / has one. Oh. This is season 3, episode 14, Mrs. Kraft. TV guide description. Oh, this is worded terribly. I didn't actually read this before now. I just copied and pasted. Angry when Zelda allows mean Mr. Kraft to stay in their home while his grandmother's home undergoes renovations, Sabrina and Hilda bring back Mr. Kraft's ex-wife, Lucy, not knowing that she too is a witch. Streaming. Mr. Kraft's ex-wife returns to win him back, but Zelda isn't going to let him go without a fight. It originally aired either January 29th, 1999, per TV Guide and IMDb, or February 12th, 1999, per Hulu. I don't know which one.
An example of where the fabric of time, space had a little tear.
I also noticed the airing dates were different for last week's as well, because streaming said last week's was January 29th, and I had it earlier. So I don't know.
Paramount Plus, one normally doesn't have anything cool, does have the 29th of January as the stream date on Paramount Plus. So
I'm going with the 29th.
Hulu, you're drunk. Go home.
I trust IMDb because I feel like their knowledge predates streaming. IMDb came first. So I feel like IMDb would have been built off of like somebody's old TV guide sitting in their grandma's basement somewhere. This episode was directed by Gary Halverson, who is returning, and written by Nick Bakay. Our first guest star is Julia Duffy as Lucy Kraft. From Newhart, Designing Women, The Mommies, and favorite soap opera of this podcast, Passions. Mary Gillis is returning as our witch judge. From also episodes Quiz Show and Rumor Mill. Barry Nolan is guest starring as host from things like Independence Day, The Birdcage, but he's best known for his work co-hosting or anchoring other television programs, including ABC's Over the Edge, Fox's Beyond Tomorrow, Paramount's Hard Copy, and Telepictures Extra, and Westinghouse Broadcasting's Evening Magazine. Jerry Springer is Jerry Springer. He is from The Jerry Springer Show, which was the epitome of trash television in the 90s. It was just the greatest cultural moment. And it eventually started infecting other talk shows until we got to, Maury eventually just becoming a paternity test show, essentially. Jerry Springer got that ball rolling. However, he was also the mayor of Cincinnati in the 70s, and he died back in April of 2023 from pancreatic cancer. And lastly, we have Robert M. Lind as our photographer, and this is his only credit. All right, what are your overall thoughts on this one, Skye?
I feel like this is a take it or leave it episode. The Harvey-Valerie plotline is weird and random and probably could have just been cut. It didn't need to be in there.
But we needed the reveal at the end of, oh no.
I mean, other ways to have done that. Call me crazy. It was an episode. Wasn't the worst. Wasn't the best. I sort of feel bad for Mr. Kraft, and I don't want to feel bad for Mr. Kraft. Don't force me to feel bad for Mr. Kraft, Sabrina. How dare you?
Yeah. I do wonder how much of his past trauma has made him the man who he is today. Because, we saw that flashback. He was a happy, carefree man pre-Beast of Burden transformation.
He was pretty damn liberal and hippie.
And this may explain the Billy Jack thing. Is that the one that we had an issue with? Because we're like, why would he be siding with the anti-government socialists? I think this is hippie Mr. Kraft is a Billy Jack fan. I think this is the remnants of his hippiness.
Peeking through.
Man, Lucy. Which Beast of Burden do you think she turned him into?
An ass.
It was fine. I did feel a little bit bad for Mr. Kraft. I thought we were going to get more of a lesson from Sabrina. How we've had the lesson about this is why Libby is the way she is. I thought we were going to have something like that. I don't feel like Sabrina had any real sympathy towards Mr. Kraft towards the end. I don't even know how much she actually regrets what she did.
No, she doesn't reflect on what she does at all. It was Salem and Hilda having that kumbaya moment of, what lesson did we learn this week, kids? Yeah. Meanwhile, Sabrina's just that was fun. I got to meet Jerry Springer, who's a witch. Who would have known?
Sabrina learned no lesson from this. Although she did have a reverse moment of her freaking out about Harvey looking presentable for their photos in the Sabrina and the Beast. And now Sabrina's the one. That was nice. All right, should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Our cold open starts with Sabrina and Harvey walking to her door, drinking what are clearly name brand Slurpees in those cups, but they call them slushy freezes or something, while Harvey suffers from a brain freeze. This means he lost their bet, and he owes her a giant surprise gift. The surprise happens when Mr. Kraft opens the front door and greets them. Sabrina, startled, zaps the door closed again. Harvey asks if Mr. Kraft is still dating Zelda, but Sabrina is in denial about it. The door opens again, and Zelda and Mr. Kraft invite the kids to watch Billy Jack Goes to Washington with them. Sabrina zaps Harvey, giving him a brain freeze, and excuses herself to take him home.
Billy Jack Goes to Washington is a 1977 film, the fourth in the series, and is a loose remake of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. The IMDb synopsis says, this is a modernizing of the classic Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, with the only major exceptions being that it includes a bit of karate,
What?
and that it bears the undeniable anti-nuke sentiment and even includes much of the original script and original words and names of the characters, sometimes borrowing heavily on the original musical score. As with the original, the hero wishes to build a camp and is wanting to put it in the way of a huge power plant being built to fulfill a graft in the home state, and in the process is framed for owning the land for the two projects and filibusters to be heard back home. Pushes for a national initiative to get a vote from everyone on every issue instead of a congressional and representative republic. Talk about grammar. I think that was worse than TV Guide.
That is up there with some of those TV guides. So I've watched Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I watched it in my 8th grade speech class. Zero memory of it because I was too busy making goo goo eyes at Damon, who I was in love with from grades 8 through 10.
I feel like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is like a requirement of the American education system.
How do we feel about the idea of getting votes from everyone on every issue instead of a representative republic?
Sounds like a hot mess. Actually, have you read the book The Circle?
Mm-mm.
There's a movie about it too that Emma Watson stars in there. But it's sort of the idea where everyone is allowed to get a vote, and it sort of shows just sort of how dystopian that could be. Is a portion of the book. I mean, there's also further social commentary, but it's a very interesting read.
Nothing would ever happen. I feel like nothing would ever get done. Or like people would just stop voting because it'd be too much.
Yeah, I think you'd get a sense of like apathy at some point.
I mean, we're already there, and it's once a year right now.
True. And then my only other note from this scene is this our first time like directly seeing the staircase? I feel like we had like a full staircase shot, and I didn't realize there was like that very old carpet runner, antique-y carpet runner.
We had a couple new camera shots in this episode, and I'm wondering if it was Gary just being like, I've done this so many times, let's shake things up. But definitely had scenes at the front door before, but I think they're always tilted. So I don't know if we've ever had... No, we've seen the runner before because I think it's like to tell a mortal. Isn't somebody sitting on that stairs? We get a really clear shot of the stairs when Libby comes with the mob, I think. But I don't know if we've seen it like through the doorway head on like this before. Our outfit intro is a yellow Victorian bathing costume. And she says Baywatch, the early years. Apparently Baywatch is getting a reboot.
No.
Yeah.
No. I object.
Are you saying I thought you were telling me I was wrong.
No.
I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I just listened to a podcast last night about it.
Why does Baywatch get a reboot? Why does Malcolm in the Middle get a reboot?
Everything from the 90s is getting a reboot.
My reboot got canceled, so...
Oh, okay. I understand now where your anger is coming from.
I'm hurt.
On the, like, maybe silver lining side, I did get a reboot of one of my favorite shows, and it was bad. So... The Scrubs reboot is good. I actually really like it. It's very 2020s Bill Lawrence, touchy, emotional, like The Shrinking, the Ted Lasso, and all that. I take it you are still in mourning.
Yes, okay. I am.
What is the typical mourning period for something like this? Do you cover the mirrors?
No clue. First
we'll know when we get there.
Yep.
Sabrina sits at the kitchen table as Salem stares at her. He keeps reliving the disgusting thing he saw there last night. Where Sabrina is sitting, Zelda was making goo-goo eyes at Mr. Kraft.
Right where you're sitting, Zelda was making goo-goo eyes with the Casanova of the Hall Pass, Willard Kraft.
Sabrina freaks out, and Hilda tells her to picture happy things. Hilda is over Zelda dating her ex-boyfriend. She has let it go and tells Sabrina to do the same. Hilda was, like, pretty mature through 75% of this episode. 60%. Sabrina agrees. It's not like he's moving in. Foreshadowing. There's a knock on the back door, and Sabrina and Hilda scream when they see Mr. Kraft there with a tray to bring Zelda breakfast. And he has this like silver tray with this food laid out on it, and I think some flowers or something. Did he put the tray in his car and drive it over like that? Did he walk it like what? Did he assemble the tray in his car? And he walked the assembled tray to the house rather than assemble it in the house? The tray thing was weird. Granted, Mr. Kraft is weird. It was weird. Zelda comes down and they call each other cute pet names, Zuzu and Monkey, and then talk in Spanish. And Mr. Kraft calls Zelda Gordita, which means fat. I was very confused by that. Gordita is also a food, maybe, but I remember very vividly my one thing from like 8th grade Spanish. That's fat. They kiss, and Sabrina struggles to keep it together. Zelda tells her that she can't drive her to school, so Mr. Kraft will do it. Sabrina forcibly smiles and ends up breaking off a piece of the kitchen counter.
What happened to the bus? Did the bus break down?
Maybe they're running late. Maybe Zelda had told her, oh, don't worry about catching the bus. I'll take you to school because I have to go somewhere. And now she's already missed the bus. I don't know.
She rides with Mr. Kraft a couple times in this episode.
She can zap herself to school.
That's true. We've seen her zap herself back and forth.
She can ride a vacuum to school. She has multiple options here that do not involve Mr. Kraft. Harvey explains the brain freeze bet to Valerie, who asks what surprise Harvey is going to get her. She also references frozenslushy.com, which does not exist, but maybe we could buy it and then redirect to our podcast website.
Ooh.
If anybody's watching this in the future. Harvey admits he needs Valerie's help. Mr. Kraft and Sabrina walk in the doors behind them, being pelted with garbage. And Sabrina is disgusted. Salem is looking through a meat magazine brochure catalog. Magazine feels weird. Anyway, Sabrina and Hilda come in, confronting him about playing with a dog. Hilda notes a trail of slobber on his back. Salem tells him he's letting a dog named Silky think they're friends so he can get meat from his butcher owner. Silky's a weird comedy dog name.
Especially for that dog. That dog was a mutt. That fur was not silky.
Yeah. Hilda and Sabrina walk in on Zelda talking to Mr. Kraft and telling him she's sure Hilda and Sabrina won't mind something. She hangs up, calling him Monkey, and tells Sabrina and Hilda that Mr. Kraft needs a place to stay, and she offered the apartment over the garage. Sabrina says they don't have one, but Zelda zaps, and now there is one. She leaves with Sabrina yelling after her that she does indeed mind. Hilda finds serenity by focusing on her chi, and Sabrina walks out yelling. So we've added on a front room. Sabrina added on a front room. We've added on apartment over the garage. Which wouldn't that change the way the house looks? Would Mr. Kraft come over and be like, wow, why does your garage look taller than it used to?
You are thinking too logical for this show.
I know. Valerie asks Harvey if he has any ideas for the surprise. He suggests car mats, but Valerie points out it's a bad gift and Sabrina doesn't have a car. She suggests a photo shoot, but Harvey already bought the car mats for Harvey. Sabrina joins them and asks what they're talking about. Valerie suspiciously says nothing, and Sabrina knows they're talking about her surprise. Valerie was actually like normal in this episode, so I actually didn't mind the Valerie Harvey storyline because it gave them something to do and it gave Valerie a moment not to be neurotic.
Voice of reason.
She actually liked some good advice, romance-wise. She had a cute idea. Mr. Kraft comes on over the intercom to announce a college recruiter visit. A recruiter from Burger World University will be meeting today with any interested fifth-year seniors. Which Sabrina's going to be a fifth-year senior next year since we're repeating the junior year. So
just found her post-high school job.
Mr. Kraft also tells Sabrina that Zelda wants them to bring home bread and toilet paper. Harvey asks if Mr. Kraft is living with them, but she clarifies he's living over the garage and she'll probably never see him. Dun dun dun.
She assures them that it is further from the house than most restraining orders.
We get a montage set to Crush by Jennifer Page.
Not on Paramount Plus.
I was like surprised I got like the real full song. I was like, all right, get that money, Jennifer. And we see that Sabrina immediately sees a lot of Mr. Kraft. She watches him cut his toenails in the living room. Then everyone is eating dinner and Mr. Kraft puts his fork in Sabrina's mashed potatoes and like swirls them around and then licks his fork and then Hilda's meditating again. What?
Also, Zelda's like missing from that scene. Like, why isn't Zelda eating with them?
Why is he obsessing about how Sabrina's eating her mashed potatoes?
I thought you took a bite from them.
Like, everything about this is uncomfortable, but that was uncomfortable the most. Sabrina and Mr. Kraft are wearing matching yellow oilskin raincoats with hats as they get garbage thrown at them walking into school together again. Sabrina walks in on Mr. Kraft and Zelda playing Twister and pretends to shove a pencil into her eyes. Sabrina then walks in on Mr. Kraft and Zelda wearing matching outfits and kissing, and Sabrina gags. There was like weird shirts, flame cowboy shirt things.
That was a weird choice.
I forgot to mention this at the beginning. I do overall, except for this shirt, loved Zelda's styling in this episode. Beth is already gorgeous, but like they did some very nice styling on her on this episode, and she was extra pretty. Sabrina asks Salem about murdering Mr. Kraft and making it look like an accident, but he just barks at her.
She says, I have a few questions about carbon monoxide at garage apartments and making something look like an accident. I don't think carbon monoxide is that hard to figure out, though, Sabrina.
Making it look like an accident, that's the hard part.
Oops, we forgot we had an apartment and the car was running. Oh no.
And the car she's not allowed to touch. Like, that's the tricky part.
Blame it on Hilda.
But Hilda's too zen right now. Hilda's checked out. If you're going to ask anybody about making a murder look accidental, you go with the crazy despot. So he barks at her. He's learning how to speak dog. And he has a CD from the Berlitz Corporation, which was founded in 1878. I didn't look anything more up about it. I just thought that was interesting that it was a language learning platform that was founded back then. He presses play on the CD player again.
CD player says, which way to the biblioteca? Rough. I love a biblioteca joke. Good job.
That CD player was a Walkman. You would not be able to hear it out loud. It would have to be going to headphones. Incorrect usage of that CD player. Sabrina shames him for using Silky for his own pleasure by pretending to be his friend. But Salem is fine with it.
He says, I thought that was the point of dogs. Besides, I am helping him. He'll never manage his owner until he learns how to beg. If the result is beefsteak for the cat, so be it. Sabrina says, maybe you could train him to chase Mr. Kraft out of the neighborhood. Salem, rough. Sabrina says, stop asking me where the library is. I'm in a crisis here.
Sabrina, wearing rubber gloves, shows Hilda a toenail clipping from Mr. Kraft as she calmly plays solitaire. She has made a personal choice not to be affected. Zelda and Mr. Kraft come in singing Up Where We Belong together. Did you at least hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
They were singing it.
Yeah. I don't know how much Paramount is editing out songs. They get all mushy and Sabrina is grossed out. Zelda leaves to get her copy of Love Letters, and Mr. Kraft tells Sabrina she might want to start thinking about calling him Uncle Willard. She freaks out, but Hilda is still calm until Mr. Kraft comes back to tell Hilda she can also call him Uncle Willard, and they agree to destroy him.
The love letters that Zelda's probably referencing is the 1966 book by Madeline L'Engle, which is a fiction novel where a woman named Charlotte finds healing in 17th century letters.
We get a brief break to Salem talking to Silky, trying to teach him how to beg for treats, but Silky is not getting it. Then we get a new filming technique where the cameraman goes backwards while Sabrina and Hilda walk up the stairs and into Sabrina's room. They're trying to figure out how to break up Zelda and Mr. Kraft.
Hilda's first thought, naturally, is poison.
Well, I mean, Sabrina's was carbon monoxide poisoning, so fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. They consult the magic book to find dirt on Mr. Kraft. They find a real-life story spell, and Barry Nolan begins narrating Mr. Kraft's life. They fast forward to his first wife and see a video of a very hippie Mr. Kraft with an equally hippie Lucy and hear about how happy he was with her.
Her name was Lucy, the only woman who could give Willard the courage to dream again. Love transformed the normal, vexatious loner into a frolicking free spirit. Whimsy was his co-pilot. He, Willard Kraft, was in love with love. They were married in a small, private ceremony presided over by her massage therapist.
And I fully just assumed that she was also cheating with her massage therapist. That was the undercurrent I got from that. Sabrina marvels at how in love they were. Why can't his love with Zelda make him trauma, PTSD? It's always comes back to PTSD. He needed some of that. What's that? The dots, the watch the light, go back and forth therapy. EMDR?
Yeah, I think so.
It's not EDM. That light therapy. He needs some of that therapy. Sabrina marvels at how in love they were. Hilda says they need to bring Lucy back, but Sabrina isn't sure she can do that to Zelda. Just then, they hear Mr. Kraft yelling about antifungal ointment, and Sabrina casts a spell to zap in Lucy.
Mr. Kraft, with a past so juicy, returned to us his ex-wife, Lucy.
A woman appears who says, it's good to be back in the mortal realm. Lucy is a witch?
Dun, dun, dun.
Not only is she a witch, she's a blonde witch and a thin witch. So Mr. Kraft 100% has a type. Maybe Glinda was part of his sexual awakening as a child.
I don't want to think about Mr. Kraft's sexual awakening, Laura.
Mr. Kraft never knew Lucy was a witch. She summons a lipstick and is so glad to have her magic back. She usually lives in the Republic of Infinite Horror near Lake Male Superior, and women aren't allowed to use magic there.
Sabrina asks, who came up with that brainstorm? Hilda and Lucy together say, the men.
My question of the week was going to be, would you take back your ex to get out of the Infinite Horror? I thought a lot about this. My answer was yes, as long as he never touches me. If I can magically control him to never touch me, but get out of the Infinite Horror, I think that's the price I would pay.
Depends on the ex.
I know.
The exes I'm still friends with?
Yes.
Yeah. The other one? No. I'll stay in the horror.
You would stay at Lake Male Superior.
I think so at this point.
Okay. All right. Lucy had to have a husband to emigrate, so she married Mr. Kraft. She would do anything to get him back. Lucy says maybe they split up because she turned him into a beast of burden, or maybe because she made out with his best friend Dexter. He divorced her either way, and she was deported. Sabrina says he's downstairs, and Lucy excitedly goes to see him.
I haven't seen him since the day I left the fence unlatched and he got out.
How did he get turned back? Because he had to initiate divorce proceedings somehow.
Maybe it's sort of like the tea where you have to keep whatever in your system or else you'll revert back. She seems very potion-based, so it could have been like a potion-based beast of burden.
Hilda and Sabrina follow her down. Mr. Kraft is irrigating his ears over a bowl in the living room. Who does that? Is that a thing?
Is that what you're supposed to do instead of Q-tips?
I feel like that's like a one-way ticket to an ear infection. I don't think he was using sterile water.
It's the neti pot for ears.
How filthy are your ears getting that you need to do that weekly? Because he says like, oh, I shouldn't wait a week to do that again. Excuse me? You need to go see a doctor, my friend. Something is wrong with your earwax production. Anyway, Sabrina surprises Mr. Kraft with Lucy, but he is terrified and backs away from her as she follows him. Harvey tells Valerie he made the appointment at the photo studio and he's going to get Sabrina there by telling her war has broken out and he needs to take her to a secret bomb shelter. Valerie points out he can just blindfold her and tell her it's a surprise.
Harvey says, okay, so much for the sound effect tapes I've been making. I'd love to hear those war sound effect tapes.
Yes.
Probably just Harvey going, pew, pew, boom.
Mr. Kraft comes into the kitchen to borrow coriander for dinner he's making for Lucy. And no one's told Zelda yet about what's happening because Zelda's surprised to hear about his ex-wife being there. We hear magical zings and Mr. Kraft twitches each time he talks about Lucy and how nice she is. He pauses and tells Zelda she looks nice, but Lucy comes in. Sabrina and Hilda quietly celebrate. Lucy hands Mr. Kraft a cup of her special tea. Zelda introduces herself and Lucy half-heartedly shakes her hand. Lucy snaps at Mr. Kraft to drink his tea and magic zings again. Lucy takes Mr. Kraft back out to make dinner. A disappointed Zelda takes off her apron and goes for a walk. Sabrina and Hilda rationalize, causing the breakup. Beth looks gorgeous in this scene. Like her white, very pale outfit. Oh, her legs look like they're a mile long. I love how she dresses. She should never be put in an animal print ever again. Nothing but pale solids for her.
Sadly, I feel like we'll get more animal prints.
I hate nothing more than an animal. I will take any other pattern. I hate an animal print so much. Salem instructs Silky to go get some meat. Silky leaves.
Yeah, baby, I can taste the fillets. I'll just pretend his frothy spit is a garnish, Salem says.
And then Silky comes back a moment later, having forgotten what he was supposed to do. Salem is exasperated, and the little puppet hand paw goes up to the puppet face. Everyone is in the living room drinking wine, except Mr. Kraft, who is drinking tea, and Sabrina, who's drinking something that's not wine because she's underage. Lucy is bragging about their relationship. Zelda brings up their pet names that Mr. Kraft seems to have forgotten. Zelda goes to get more wine. Hilda tries to talk to Lucy and Mr. Kraft. Mr. Kraft continues to twitch with each magic zing. He is worried Lucy is going to hit him. Lucy laughs it off. Zelda comes back in with her hair up, and Mr. Kraft notices how much he likes it, until Lucy tells him to drink more tea and reminds him he was going to tell Zelda something. Mr. Kraft tells Zelda he's moving out and staying with Lucy. Hilda and Sabrina silently cheer. Zelda yells at him, but stops, realizing she's debasing herself for a man, and runs off.
And exclaims, I sound like Hilda.
And Hilda's face in the background is just like, what the hell? Why am I catching strays over here? Lucy announces they're leaving and asks Mr. Kraft if his best friend Dexter is coming over. Sabrina runs to check on Zelda. Zelda is in the kitchen taking her hair down. She just wants what's best for him, but cries about how happy he makes her. Sabrina tells Zelda that Lucy is from the other realm, and she and Hilda brought her back.
We had to. He did yoga in a unitard.
Yoga must be a leftover from the hippie days, too. There is no way 1999 Mr. Kraft spontaneously took up yoga. Sabrina says Lucy is using magic on Mr. Kraft. Zelda is angry at Hilda and Sabrina, but they push her to the laptop to use a potion to fight back. But when the laptop is opened, they're all zapped to the Witches' Council to stand before the judge with Lucy.
Lucy says, "Oh look, your hair's down again. I guess everything eventually loses the battle with gravity." And Zelda's face is priceless.
Which is also rich coming from a woman who seems to be a bit older than Zelda. Lucy's graying, Zelda's not. Okay, Lucy. Happens to everybody. The judge tells them that since they're battling over a mortal, they need to settle this properly. We discourage mortal-witch relationships. So much so that we have this wax rule in place for any progeny. Why do we have a method set up to help make a decision when two witches are battling over one mortal? Shouldn't it just be like, you're both in trouble and you're both banned to the infinite horror men-only realm? Like,
I guess they could King Solomon it. So might be a lot of split men running around.
I do enjoy that the judge is like, you're fighting over vice principal? Like, okay. Anyway, so they have a method for settling this. The judge bangs her gavel and they're zapped to the Jerry Springer show. Jerry Springer introduces everyone and explains that they're fighting over Mr. Kraft. Jerry asks them to explain how it started. As Sabrina explains, Mr. Kraft is also her vice principal, and Hilda says he's her ex-boyfriend. The audience oohs. And when they lay it out like this, it is pretty messed up of Zelda to be dating this man.
It is.
Wait 2 years till Sabrina's out of high school at least, and give your sister some more time to heal. The audience turns on them when they said they brought back Lucy, and Hilda gets bleeped to make it sound like she's swearing. Mr. Kraft comes out, and the audience throws things at him. He's forced to choose between two chairs and which woman to sit next to. I had a really hard time typing this sentence, and the word witch, I did it the W-I-T-C-H at first, because I was like, which? Zelda and Lucy start fighting.
Lucy says, "Honey, all the magic in your bag couldn't get you a man."
And the audience chants, Jerry, Jerry, as security breaks it up. Did anybody at your school ever do that, like in class? Or when there was a fight?
No.
Was that a thing in Idaho? You would have been younger too. I was like in junior high.
Never seen a Jerry Springer episode in my life.
Wait, did you know who Jerry Springer was when he came on the screen? Like,
yes, I know who Jerry Springer is.
Like, aware of the zeitgeist around it.
Yes.
Okay. In 1999, I would have been in 6th grade at this point. So it was definitely like a thing over the next couple of years whenever there was like fighting, be like, Jerry, Jerry, in the middle school. We have a brief commercial break to Salem yelling for Silky, wondering where he is. And then back at Jerry Springer, it's time for Mr. Kraft to choose. But first, there's a surprise. They did a potion check on him. Mr. Kraft stands behind the screen and shows that he is full of potions.
Hilda says, "That is worse than Elvis's autopsy."
I also like when they show like a normal man and they're like, every man has a small amount of potions and it's like up to the knee. And I'm like, what are these witches up to? We're just handing out potions.
I think it was only to the ankles, luckily, but yeah, there shouldn't be any.
Jerry drains the potions and now Mr. Kraft can choose. He points out that Lucy tried to kill him, but Zelda laughs at his jokes and has the sweetest smile. Mr. Kraft chooses Lucy, then laughs. He was kidding. He picks Zelda. Lucy yells at him and she and Zelda start fighting again. And some more, Jerry, Jerry. Hilda ices her hand in the kitchen as Salem lectures her about saying she was helping Zelda, but she was really helping herself. Hilda turns it back on him for doing the same thing to Silky. Then the camera zooms out and we see Salem surrounded by meat. In his case, it worked out. Zelda comes in holding her jaw. She gave Mr. Kraft another potion to forget everything. Zelda wants to talk to Hilda and Sabrina, but Valerie took Sabrina away for a surprise. Valerie leads Sabrina into a photo studio in a nice dress. It was an okay dress. It was not one of her better dresses. Wearing a blindfold. Valerie guides her to sit on a love seat, and Valerie tries to whisper to Harvey something, but he stops her and sits next to Sabrina. He takes off her blindfold just as the photographer takes a picture, revealing a black eye. Harvey stares in shock. In our end tag, Mr. Kraft tells Sabrina at school not to expect special treatment just because he's dating Zelda. I feel like we've had this conversation before when he was dating Hilda, did we not?
We sure did.
Okay. And he's going to have the same conversation again when he starts dating Sabrina's mom, because I'm assuming that's the way we're going, and making his way through all the women in Sabrina's life. In fact, he has to give her detention this Friday because she's been watching Jerry Springer instead of doing her homework. Sabrina protests, but he stops her and walks outside, immediately getting garbage thrown at him, and Sabrina smiles. And it was like a fond smile.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I'm glad he's getting garbage thrown at him smile. It was just kind of like, oh, so silly smile. It was not the smile I would have chosen. That is our episode. Any final thoughts, Skye?
Jerry. Maybe I should go watch an old episode.
You should just do that in a meeting at work one time. Like if it starts getting heated and people are disagreeing, be like, Jerry.
Oh my gosh. Every AI committee meeting?
Yes. Yes. AI could never. All right. What's your new title, Skye?
Witch.
What's your guess for the family secret? We did not get any clues this time.
We sure did not. But I think I'm gonna stick with the previous secret of just like no relationship between a mortal and a witch will actually ever fully succeed. Like there's always an end date to it, especially for the Spellmans.
Okay. Our next episode is season 3, episode 15, Sabrina and the Pirates. What do you think it's going to be about, Skye?
Oh man, it's the crossover episode we've all been waiting for. Sabrina and VeggieTales. Specifically, the pirates who don't do anything. So it's an episode where they don't do anything, and then there's consequences for Sabrina not doing anything, when normally there's consequences because she does too much.
Okay. We get some family secret stuff. We get the board. That is the start of the whole episode. And again, once you see the board,
I'm going to be really pissed off.
You're going to be really angry because you're going to be like, that's how we use the clues. So anyway.
Trying to figure out if I have any stress squishy anger balls here.
Please like, share, rate, and subscribe to this podcast. Polar Bears, if you can listen to a podcast, you can press the thumbs up button.
Get us those statistics.
If you are stranded in the Arctic or the Antarctic, like and subscribe. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod. Until next time,
stay magical.